few survivors remained are scattered across a broken and unrecognizable land.
I was just thinking to myself that horse was Bela.
Ooh, bacon.
Hello, my tasty morsels. It's Reverse BLT here. Welcome back to the channel. I am about to watch the Season 1 special features, or the little bonus animations for the Wheel of Time. It looks like there are 6 of them, and each of them are 3 minutes long, so I'm just going to go ahead and watch them all together. As what is that, 18 minutes? So I don't really see any point in breaking them up. It looks like they're going to cover most of the important lore. And I see one of them's the Breaking of the World. That should be interesting. And I see the Fall of Manetheren, so definitely some interesting topics. I'm curious as to why they separated them out into these little animations. I don't know whether it was for budget reasons or if they just decided that the narrative of the show itself would maybe be too slow or would affect the pacing somehow to include them in the actual series. Generally speaking, I like to see your more important elements of lore included directly in your main narrative, but I do understand reasons for putting them into their own things. The main problem here was what I've heard about people having really hard time finding these. And I've been watching these on my computer, which is the easiest way to find them apparently, because they had put them in the X-ray section. But people who apparently were, when they were using the Amazon app, basically had no way of watching these at all. And that's just way to drop the ball, Amazon. Seriously. You want to make things easy for people to access, not difficult, you know? But it looks like they've separated them into their own section now, at least on the PC version of the website. So that's something, at least. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into these. Start with episode 1, The Breaking of the World. See what tragically went down with poor old Luz Theron. I wonder if they made these animations before they knew what actor was going to be portraying him. So I wonder if it's going to look anything like he did in the live action in episode 8. The shadow fell upon the land, and the world was riven from stone to stone. The oceans fled, the mountains were swallowed up, and the nations were scattered to the 8 corners of the world. All was shattered, all but memory lost, and one memory above all others of him who brought the shadow and the breaking of the world, and him they named Dragon.
The forces of light struck the Dark One and sealed him away.
This is Brown Aja. They're the history nerds.
Before he was imprisoned, the Dark One delivered one last defiant strike. The Dark One poisoned the source of power for male Aes Sedai. With this, Luz Theron lost his mind. He murdered his beloved wife. He slew his children she bore him. The Dark One released Luz Theron from his madness, just to show him what he had done. But it wasn't Luz Theron alone who suffered. The poison spread, the time of madness. It was a time of unchecked, unhinged rage that destroyed the world. What few survivors remained are scattered across a broken and unrecognizable land.
I was just thinking to myself that horse was Bela.
Breaking lasts for over 100
Even thousands of years ago.
and ends only when the last male channeler alive is gentled. It would be among the most sacred of duties as an Aes Sedai to protect the world from another such breaking.
Sort of the Cliff Notes version. That also tells me something because it strongly indicates that we will see the actual events of the breaking in the show, because they chose to frame it as just a retelling of what little they actually know about it from the Aes Sedai point of view in this animation. And since we've already had a cold open featuring Luz Theron in the actual Age of Legends, I expect that we're going to see more of that, sort of like a I don't know, like a sort of a framed ongoing series of vignettes featuring Luz Theron in the past and what actually happened. Alright, let's see what happened here with the Fall of Manetheren.
1,000 years after the breaking, battles still raged against the forces of the Dark One. Battling through unrelenting days and nights, they held their city against Trollocs, dark friends and dreadlords, until they could no longer hold the river from crossing. Retreat found no place amongst them.
What, no subtitles?
And the sword that could not be broken was shattered.
Narsil? That's right, you get some elves to reforge it and feel good.
Queen Eldrine sank with King Aemon's death, so her heart and kingdom found their end.
That right there, by the way, is
Today, in the
precedent
two
for
rivers,
what happened with
where Manetheren once stood.
the circle in the finale. Because you gotta remember that the Queen of
Continues to
Manetheren wiped out a massive Trolloc army by herself by channeling way too much of the One Power. At least if you believe the legends. I don't know why I'm checking for a post-credit scene on something that's 3 minutes long, but... Okay, episode 3, The Greatest Warder. That's some bold words right there.
Stick your blasted heels in water. With a line.
They did some actual rotoscoping for this one.
On your feet.
I think that's supposed to be the White Tower and the shrouded in mist in the background. This baby land?
Saidin. Sir, yes. The greatest swordsman.
His prowess with a sword knew no equal. In battle, all who should cross him found themselves at the far end of his blade. Save one. 10,000 victories, and a single loss. To a farmer with a wooden quarterstaff.
That's a
His
nice
sole
way of
defeat
including that
became
story
a legacy.
from the book.
Never again underestimate your fellow man.
That was fun. Yeah, they tell that story in the book about, I'm trying to remember who tells it, but yeah, about how, like, there's this warder who was so incredibly badass and never lost any battles, and he traveled across the land fighting and always won. And then one day he fights a lowly farmer armed with nothing but a quarterstaff who just hands him his ass. Yeah, these are definitely fun. They're very stylish too. They use certain sections. They don't really have much animation, which is a cost-saving tactic usually. But then in other sections, they use rotoscoping or get very detailed. And it seems like they're being pretty smart with that. Like in the one we just watched, episode 3, when they were actually fighting each other, they used rotoscoping so that we could catch the nice, fine details of combat. And then when they just had people observing, they're standing around, they used still frames, which is smart. This next one is called Saidin, Saidar, Stone. So Saidin is the male half of the One Power, which the Dark One tainted so that it drives men insane. And Saidar is the female side of the One Power, which of course the Aes Sedai of the current age wield. Side note, I really like how the show depicts the taint as this sort of like black, kind of almost like a chaser that comes in after the pure white Saidin starts to flow. That's a really interesting idea. I guess they're not calling it the taint in the show though, because of the fact that modern people think of the taint as only one thing instead of just the idea of a corruption. So I guess we're just calling it corruption and stuff now. Anyway, let's get into this one, episode 4.
Thousands of years ago, long before the walls of our great city were raised by Ogier hands, there existed a great era of humanity. The Age of Legends was a time of advancement. Philosophy, science, technology. What little knowledge survived the breaking alludes to incredible progress.
You guys have
Society
no idea how
benefited
advanced they
through
were.
true collaboration as female and male Aes Sedai worked together with each half of the One Power. When men touch Saidin, it's wild and unwieldy, a raging torrent resisting. And after the Dark One corrupted Saidin, the madness is unavoidable. When
like
women
that
touch
visual.
the true source with Saidar, we surrender and guide. In its gentleness, we find its infinite power. To
And this
master
of,
these waters will take time and practice.
Egwene letting the
My
currents
daughters,
take her.
let us begin. Empty yourself of your thoughts. The only thing in your mind is the bud of the flower. Only that. You can see every detail, every vein, every leaf. You and the bud are one.
My daughters, was this the previous Maryland seat? Are we getting Moiraine's training through these little vignettes? And Lan's training with the previous one with the warders? That's really sneaky. I like it if that's what they're doing. That's pretty cool. Episode 5, The White Tower. Sounds pretty self-explanatory.
Out of the ashes of the breaking, surviving factions of female Aes Sedai emerged into a new world, while male Aes Sedai continued their descent into madness and destruction. The island of Tar Valon was chosen, and the White Tower was born. Here, those with the natural ability to channel are welcomed as novices to begin their training. From novicehood, years may pass before a sacred serpent ring is placed on one's finger, raising her to the level of accepted. And long after, when deemed ready, the accepted take the 3 oaths and are raised to wear the shawl as Aes Sedai. Warriors, standing ready, healers of all things living, keepers of the past, seekers of justice, law-focused diplomats, pursuers of truth and reason, and those dedicated to preventing the wrong and dangerous use of the One Power.
Choose. Choose wisely. I don't know why I did that in a Yoda voice.
It was no accident that we chose the island of Tar Valon in plain view of Dragonmount. It's a message, spoken to all generations, a reminder of the past, a warning that the Dragon Reborn will come.
Those Ogier craftsmen back there, so this is like the actual beginning building of the White Tower. That's pretty cool. It was fun, a little bit of a look at when they first constructed the tower and discussion on how the surviving Aes Sedai came together to sort of pick up the pieces after the breaking. So episode 6, An Ogier's Longing. I wonder if this is going to be specifically about our particular Ogier, because he's experiencing a longing. Loyal, who is definitely not dead. Don't fear, folks. There's no way that they got rid of Loyal. I am trying to figure out what exactly they're going to use his wounding to do story-wise. I know a lot of things had to be kind of rearranged because of losing the actor who played Matt. I don't know whether Loyal being stabbed was part of that or not, but I'm sure they have some sort of plan. I just don't quite know exactly what it is yet. Interesting stuff to fuel speculation, though, while we wait for season 2. Wonder if we'll get to see a steading.
It is indeed the very rare and unusual Ogier who will decide to leave their steading homes. During the long exile, we
pointy
Ogier
ears.
wandered lost in search of our steadings. It was then that Ogier began to succumb to the longing, to the point of death. There is no lovelier place than an Ogier grove. With its great trees, some stand towering since the age of legends.
It's the songs.
No shadow spawn will enter. There is no way to channel the One Power. In the steading, there is rest,
I always thought that was
While
interesting.
humankind has long prized Ogier masonry, you cannot bring stone to life. When we sing to the forest, it is much as if the earth itself sings to us. And whilst there is nothing better than to be at home in the steadings, surrounded by the comforts which offer wisdom and peace, with our beloved groves in sight. True adventure calls. Adventure that cannot be found in a book. Adventure that may in fact risk the longing.
I really like the Ogier. They're cool people. I always wonder where they came from, you know? Are they originally part of the world, or do they come from like another dimension or something? Because it is very interesting that there is no use of the one power within an Ogier setting. That was a detail that always struck me as very odd. Why would there be these places specifically tied to this other race where, you know, the power of the creator, the thing that flows through the wheel that creates all of reality, does not function, or at least can't be channeled? That's weird. It seems to suggest to me anyway that there is a sort of disconnect between what their origin is and what the origin of everything else is. I've only read up to, what, I think book 5 or 6, I forget, The Fires of Heaven. So maybe that's something that gets answered later. If it is, and you guys are book readers watching this, don't tell me, please. But I am definitely curious. It's one of the big mysteries that I would like to find the answer to by the end of the book series. But yeah, these were fun. I'm glad that they did make these. Actually, they were perfect little nuggets of information. I love the art style, so I'm glad. I don't want to change that, but I do wish that there was a little more sort of bit by bit detail, animations instead of stills. You know what I mean? But like I said, I really like these. They were very artistic. I like the tone. I like how the feeling of the lore about the tower and the warders and everything felt like lessons that were being given to Lan and Moiraine. And I'm really wondering if that was the case or if I was just imagining it. But that was cool either way. Even the feeling of it was cool. Let me know what you guys thought of these when you watched them. A lot of you guys probably knew about these when you first watched the episodes, and so you saw them way before me. I seem to take forever to get around to anything somehow. Anyway, guys, I'm beginning to ramble, so I'm going to stop. You guys have yourselves a great day. Be safe and be well. And join me for the next whatever it is. Well, bye. Oh, yeah, and Happy New Year.